And then right now, we welcome in Cavaliers Legend World B free.
My
Hello,
man,
how's everybody?
there he is, World.
How's everybody?
What's up, World? Good.
Hey, doing good.
Look, man,
How you guys?
I'm doing well. We're gonna shoot the stuff about the Cavs today, but I gotta run you back some days. Now, I used to be a Sixers was my team back in the day when I was a kid. I'm gonna throw some names out. They ain't gonna know what I'm talking about. World, what about the Bomb Squad?
Yeah. That was a real deal right there. You know what I mean?
Real deal. World was the first one. Correct me if I'm wrong, World. You was wearing ponies,
Okay.
right?
Yeah. Me and
Pony
Daryl
shoes.
Dawkins.
Wow. Oh yeah. World used to come off the bench in Philly. You, Jelly Bean. Who else was on that secondary crew?
We had Daryl Dawkins and Steve Mix, Cornel Norman, Harvey Catchings, basically were the guys coming up for that bomb squad.
Yeah, that bomb squad was the secondary crew that came in Philly and just lit it up for the Sixers. Because your starting five was Doc, McGinnis, Cheeks,
and Caldwell Jones, and Henry Bibby and Doug Collins.
Yeah, that's it.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you. Educate us, because when I was coming up, my dad used to always, talk about World Be Free, and I would be like, man, I would think like he was playing around. Like I say, they ain't nobody's name. What you keep saying that for? And as I did my research and I got older, I'm like, man, that was true. That was a real name. I thought he was just playing. Tell all the young dudes out there that came up in this generations past, how did you get that nickname? How did that stick for you? Because that's one of the coldest names of all time in sports. Like, I don't know if you know that.
Well, thank you for that. But it happened from I'm from New York, from Brooklyn, and it basically happened for doing 360 slam dunks, because I had a 44-inch vertical leap off the ground, so I can get up over the cross on that backboard. At least my full handprint can go over the top of that. And in the playgrounds, I used to do 360 slam dunks. And it was always a person out there who nicknamed guys who they thought that had a chance to get out of the hood. And they gave me a nickname. They started with calling me like Kangaroo. They started calling me all different type names. And then they said World. They started yelling out World, because every time I go to the basket, I would jump up, but I would do a complete 360 spin on you and dunk it on you. And it was like crazy back then, just to go ahead and do those kind of things. So we were having fun in the playground, and that's how the name stuck with me. But my real biological given name is Lloyd Lloyd Bartholomew Free. Yeah. So I couldn't put the Bartholomew Free on back on my jersey because too many letters. So I couldn't get it through there. So I shaved it off and changed it to Lloyd into World. And the B, everything was my father's biological given name. And I told everybody, I said, if I ever made the pros or anything, that was successful in my life, I wish the world could be free one day.
Hey, World, let me ask you a question.
Yes,
How
sir.
was Daryl Dawkins? Because he came straight out of high school when he joined the Sixers. What kind of talent did he have?
Yeah, we were rookies together. Daryl Dawkins was what you called a gentle giant, but when he wanted to be a monster, he could have done that. He was one of those guys that had unbelievable talent. He could shoot for a big man. He could dribble a basketball. He basically could control whatever he wanted to control out there on that basketball floor underneath that basket, or at least 15 feet foul line area. He would dog you on it if you really let him. But he just was the type guy that he could have you down, but he didn't want to put the foot on your mouth. And see, and I always used to tell him, I'm like, yo, Daryl, you too big, man. You should go ahead and destroy people. You know what I mean? I said, if I had your height, that's what I would do. You know what I mean? I would go ahead in it. So me and him used to play one-on-one together. And he used to watch my little ass just go to the basket. And on him playing one-on-one, you know what I mean? He like, hey, man, this guy, he didn't go into the basket. Wait a minute. I got to go ahead and do this kind of stuff myself. So, and me and him, we were best friends. And still, I know that he passed, but still to this day, I love him like a brother.
Hey, let me ask you a
From
question.
another mother.
Were you there, World, the day? I can't remember. Were you there when Maurice Lucas and Daryl Dawkins squared off in the finals?
Yeah, we was in that. I was in that championship round, and it was crazy because when it happened, I had broke ribs and collapsed lung, right? And me and Daryl, like I said, we're tight. And when the fight happened, I ran out there on the floor, and I seen the commotion, everything going, and Daryl in the middle of the floor, weaving and bobbing. Yeah, I ain't see a punch though, but you know what I mean. They weaving and bobbing.
They was weaving and bobbing.
They look good. I gave 10s on that, and then next thing you know, Doug Collins tried to run. All of a sudden, some punch got thrown, and Doug got hit. He got hit running away. You know what I'm saying? and we had. I remember that. Yeah. Then Daryl Dawkins' brothers. Daryl Dawkins have these big brothers though. His brothers were like him, but not as tall, but they was huge. They coming out the stands and everything. And I remember Gene Shue telling me to go in the locker room to quiet this man down because Daryl, they kicked him out the game, send him to the locker room, and we best friends. So Gene tells me, because the security saying Daryl's in the locker room, tearing the locker room up, And so Gene says, that's the coach, Gene Shue. He said, "World, go back there and talk to him." So I go back there and I hear stuff just like being thrown around. So I open the locker room door. I just looks inside there like, I don't know if I want to go in there. You know what I mean? Man, I went in there. Everything was all upside down, man. I calmed it down. He was good.
Them were the good days, man. The good days. Good
oh, man. Tell me about it.
Yes, it was.
Tell me about it.
World, the days when you came to Cleveland were not so good. You came here at about the low point of basketball in Cleveland. When did you get here? 82, 83? You got traded here? Is that right?
Yes. Uh-huh.
What was that like?
For Ron Brewer.
What's your best Ted Stepien 80s Cavs story at the Richfield Coliseum?
Well, see, when I got there, Ted Stepien, he wasn't there.
Oh, he was gone already?
Yeah, he was gone that year. That same year that I came in, he left out. And they had Harry Weltman.
Yeah, Harry Weltman.
Okay.
Yeah, Harry Weltman.
How many people were at those games?
About as many sitting in your studio right there.
I don't know if you remember this. I talked to you. I wrote a book after the Cavs won a championship, and I talked to you in Philly. And you said, like, you could hear the basketballs bounce. There's like 1,000 people in there. And that, like, you could hear the individual hecklers. You could hear the beer guy. Like, it was a funeral at those games.
Yeah, it was. It was one of those things too that and I always tell people, who really didn't see or know what that was about. I said it was a thing that franchise was getting ready to be sold. It was getting ready to go underneath. And I remember when they told me Bernard King, because he was on my team with Golden State when I got traded, and he basically was like, "Well, World, wow, it's like you going to the end." And I'm like, nah, Bernard, I'm gonna make this work. I'm gonna get out there and give it all I got. What I got left, I'm gonna make this work. And so I remember coming to the airport and the reporter telling me like, "Hey, how you doing, World?" I said, "Yeah, hello." He said, "Well, how you happy about the trade?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm all right." Like that, still positive feedback. And then he says to me, he said, "They only won like 3 games or something, last year and years before." I say, "Well, look, if they won 3 games, they're going to win 5 games because I'm going to give them 2 more." Like that.
Hey, World, we got, before my man Earl, the producer, wants to ask us a question, I got a question. They talk about the NBA, but, you from New York, which is the Mecca, and New York is known for their playground basketball players and just street legends.
Yes.
Now, I don't know if you played against any of these guys, but I'm gonna just ask you a couple of names, and if you could give me a couple of stories. Do you have any stories about Pee Wee Kirkland, James Fly Williams, or Herman Helicopter?
I got Fly Williams. I got Herman Helicopter, but I didn't play with Herman Helicopter because I was too young at that time to get on the court with those guys. But Herman Helicopter, I remember him. We was in this park called West 4th Street, and Herman Helicopter is about 6'6", 6'7", And I remember Willis Reed coming to the park, you know, and Willis Reed faked Herman Helicopter, because Herman Helicopter could touch the top of the backboard. You know what I mean? One of those kind of guys. Couldn't shoot or nothing, but he could jump. But Willis Reed went to fake him and went up for a one of the long lob kind of shot. But the shot was like all the way up there by the top of the backboard. Herman Helicopter grabbed that thing out the air. Boom! The crowd went crazy. You know what I mean?
Top of the
Crazy. Yeah, you know what I mean? So Willis like looking at this guy. The next thing you know, it was the end for him though. After that, he should have never done that. He should have never grabbed Willis Reed. He punished him. Punished him. And now this James Fly Williams, my era.
Right.
Now James Fly Williams to this day, one of the baddest basketball players that I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, wow.
They say he used to drop 50. They said he was getting 50 all the time.
That's halftime talking.
Oh.
That's halftime talking. You know what I'm saying? But this guy was so good. I mean, like he's 6'6", can handle both ways, had the in-between game, had the outside game. He could do it all. He could defense you. You know, he could do it all. He just couldn't control himself. But he was one of the best. And I told this to guys in the league. I said, man, y'all talk about it, all these guys in the league. But I said, look, I'm playing against you guys in the league. Mm-hmm. This guy can be right here, right up to the top.
Hey, World.
All of you guys in the league.
World, I know. So you following the Cavaliers. What do you think about our chances in New York on Friday here?
Well, technically, I think you got good chances. You know what I mean? I think the big fellas are starting to come around. You know what I mean? And that's what you need, because your guards look like they're going to do their job. And you got some great guards there. And, you know, get that wing going a little bit. You know, some outside shots. You know, I believe y'all guys got a great chance.
What are they saying? What are they saying in New York about it? What do you think the pressure is on the Knicks here?
What are they saying in New York?
Yeah, the pressure on the Knicks.
I'm not in New York. I'm in Philly now.
You know, I know you're on the East Coast swing, right?
Yeah.
You know, because you know about New York, the pressure that the Knicks have to be always considered one of the favorite teams in this league, right? They have stumbled along the way for a little while here, right? You think there's going to be a lot of pressure coming into the Garden on Friday?
Yes, it is. You know, it's going to be more pressure on the Knicks than it will be Cleveland. You know what I mean? Because, like you said, all that pressure with all those people, you know what I mean, going to be in there. It's on national TV, you know, and a lot of times, you know, but, you know, they have a good team. I'm not going to take nothing away from them. But the thing is, you know, Cleveland, I'm a little biased because, you know, I am on the wall of honor out there, too.
Right, no question.
You know what I mean?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, hey, man, I ain't throwing no stones. I'm just saying what it is. You know what I mean? And I'm pulling for Cleveland to go ahead and knock them out the box.
World, our producer Earl had a question for you.
Yes.
Mr. Free, it's a pleasure to meet you. So my real name is Earl. My nickname is Earl of Pearl. And my grandfather used to always try to school me on the original Earl of Pearl. He said his nickname was Jesus because he walked on water when he was on the basketball court. Was Earl of Pearl really that dude?
Well, I never seen him walk on water, but only one person walked on water.
Blasphemous.
Yeah, blasphemous. That's a good one. I like that. Bill Rock said that, man who said that. But anyway, Earl of Pearl, I didn't get to see his whole career, but I got to see him play, and I played against him for like my first 3 years was his last 3 years in the league, so he was declining. But, you know, he still had some stuff with him. But his moves was, like, unbelievable, too. I mean, he didn't jump off the ground with this eye.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? You couldn't slide a Sunday news underneath his shoes. But I tell you one thing, he'd get 40 on you in a minute. Just drop it on you. And he's cool. He was cool with it.
See, World, what happens is, you know, when you anything past, if you was in high school anywhere in the 70s, people in my generation, we feel you played with Dr. J, you played with Havlicek, you played with Bill Russell. We think you played with Chamberlain. I be telling OG over here, I say, hey, Brad, man, Hey man, what was it like, man, out there playing with old you played with Bird and you played with Havlicek. Hey, what is Red Auerbach? He met Red Auerbach. I think he know everybody. It's crazy, bro.
Well, when you get tagged, man, that's it. Game over. You know.
Hey, your boy Phil Hubbard
Yes.
told me to tell you hello.
I tell you one thing about Phil Hubbard. Now that was what you call a competitor. You know what I mean? He was a competitor with that team when we finally made the playoffs.
Yep.
And brought that city back to life. And I knew when I seen that happen, that city was going. It's electric. It's electric. And now they got it all back. LeBron bought the championship, the whole 9 yards. You know, it's electric. And I love every bit of what's going on. And Phil Hubbard and Lonnie Shelton, and those guys, John Bagley, who played with that group that brought us back to where Cleveland needed to be, just to keep the franchise there. Everybody gets a pat on the back. You know what I mean? Because that was war. It was war but people just don't understand that. It's only one thing I really regret about Cleveland. They never wanted to put my jersey up in them stands in the Raptors. Only problem I got with Cleveland.
Well, listen, we're going to see if we can get that done. Hey, and stop playing around. Put them Raptors up there. Right. If they put Kyrie up there, they got to put you back up there.
No question. Because this man here carried the franchise, but it was struggling.
I'll tell you what, World, thank you so much for giving us an opportunity to talk to you. Great meeting you. And we'll definitely work on getting that jersey in the Raptors for you, man.
That sounds good to me. I like to see while I'm on top of the earth.
All right, no question. No question. We're going to work on it, World.
All right, we appreciate you. Have a great rest of your weekend. Go Cavs.
Okay.
Thanks, World.
Go Cavs. Thank you. Okay.